Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime, where I like to tell the stories of the real cucuys and lloronas of the world. I'm Audrey, a paralegal turned stay-at-home mom who loves true crime. The cases I cover are wild. Topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. With all that being said, grab your hot Cheetos and let's get started on today's case. Some articles provide that in order to understand the Waco Massacre, we have to know what happened at Ruby Ridge. And some articles provide that in order to understand the Oklahoma City bombing, we have to know what happened at Waco. During the 51-day standoff with the feds, Timothy McVeigh drove from Pendleton, New York to Waco, Texas in show of support. Timothy even handed out pro-gun flyers with slogans that read, "When guns are outlawed, I will become an outlaw." The Ruby Ridge raid occurred on August 21st of 1992. 3 people died. The Waco siege occurred on February 28th through what ended up in a massacre on April 29th of 1993. 86 people died. On the 2-year anniversary of the Waco Massacre, in retaliation, Timothy McVeigh would be responsible for the Oklahoma City bombing of April 19th of 1995. 168 people died. The articles directly after the massacre only reported that 2, some say 6, members of the Branch Davidians were killed and that 18 were wounded. That number is incorrect. As a result of the Waco Massacre, 4 federal agents were dead. 16 were injured. 82 members of the cult were killed. 28 were children. 11 were wounded, and 9 managed to escape. Special Agent Ted Royster called it the greatest loss of life ever suffered by the Bureau. David Koresh was born as Vernon Wayne Howell on August 17, 1959. He was born out of wedlock to a 20-year-old named Bobby Wayne Howell and 14-year-old Bonnie Sue Clark. Vernon's dad, Bobby, abandoned him when he was just 2 months old. In 1962, after a failed marriage with Joe Golden, Bonnie moved to Dallas, Texas, and sent Vernon to be raised by her mom in Tyler, Texas. Vernon's grandmother would pretend to be his mom, and his real mom would pretend to be an aunt who would occasionally visit. He didn't know his mom was his mom until he was 5 years old. While being raised by his grandmother, Erlene Clark, she took him to her Seventh-day Adventist church in Tyler, Texas, where he became involved and a member of the congregation. Now that Bonnie had been married for a second time to Roy Hadelman in 1964 and the family had settled in Richardson, Texas, his grandmother, quote, allowed, quote, little Vernon to go ahead and live with his mom. It is reported that Vernon suffered sexual abuse at the hands of a male relative during his childhood. Vernon Howell's mother did not tell him that she had enrolled him in special ed due to his learning disability. He came home crying one day and she told him that God had made him very special. Some sources say that he dropped out of Garland High School during his freshman year. Some say he dropped out in his junior year. Regardless, he was a high school dropout, and in 1981 he got kicked out of the Tyler, Texas Seventh-day Adventist Church after trying to marry the pastor's underage daughter, Sandy Berlin. In 1982, Vernon became a member of the Seventh-day Adventist spin-off named the Branch Davidians. By 1987, Vernon would have taken over the Branch Davidians, but the Branch Davidians were founded in 1929 by Victor Houteff. Victor was an ex-SDA. He was kicked out in 1930 for promoting his own theological views. In 1935, they founded a commune on 190 acres of land near Waco, Texas. Like the SDA religion, the Branch Davidians believed that the world was coming to an end and one had to be prepared and be righteous in the eyes of the Lord in order to go to heaven. When 69-year-old Victor Houteff passed away on February 5th of 1955, Benjamin and Lois Roden took over the Branch Davidians. 76-year-old Benjamin Roden died on October 22nd, 1978. And when Benjamin died, everyone thought that his son George Roden would be taking over, but the very progressive, very female empowerment Lois Roden said no. She was going to be the new leader, and so she was. Due to this difference, Lois and her son George were estranged for a number of years. And when 26-year-old Vernon Howell met 67-year-old Lois Roden, they became romantically involved. Vernon told her about his visions from God, telling him that he was now the new Messiah and the new Jesus, the new Lamb of God on earth. His name was now David Koresh. She was his Rachel, and they would have God's child together. In the Bible, Rachel is a character about a woman who prayed to God to give her a child. She struggled to conceive, and she gave up hope when she became old, and even laughed at God when in a dream he told her that she was going to have a baby. God kept his promise, and she had a son, even at her geriatric maternal age. Biologically, women are considered to be in a geriatric pregnancy after the age of 35. This woman was now Vernon, aka David's, quote, Rachel, unquote. And every time she did something to displease him, he would use it against her by saying, see, this is why God hasn't given you the new baby Jesus. You're not listening to me. The widow's son got wind that there was a new preacher, a new leader at his mom's church's pulpit. George Roden showed up to the Sabbath service, a culto divino, one day and was like, how dare you, you lying snake. You said I couldn't inherit my dad's church because God gave you the prophecy that you would be the next leader. And now you have this new man here and he's in your bed, in the same bed you used to lay with my dad with. The prodigal son accused Vernon, aka David, of raping his mother, and the church was not about to let anybody talk bad about their mans, okay? A middle-aged Karen of the church stood up for her mans and told George to leave. This started an eternal beef between the Branch Davidians and George Roden, or Vernon Howell, aka David Koresh, and George Roden.